The Denver Nuggets have just locked in Jamal Murray into a huge 4-year, $208 million contract, ensuring that the team will have him and Nikola Jokic until 2028.
For the most part. Now it goes, and oh my goodness, what a basket!
But while we know that Jokic and Murray are arguably the best duo in the league right now, there are now questions as to whether or not this would be enough to give the Denver Nuggets the same title opportunity they had in 2023. After all, outside of Jokic and Murray, the team doesn't seem to have enough star-level talent to help this team get to the top once more, all while the other contenders have been stocking up on talent and are only getting better. This can make you wonder if having the best player in the world is enough to win a title. So, if you want to know whether or not the Denver Nuggets have a chance to win it all next season, you might want to stick around for a few minutes. The 2023 championship run by the Denver Nuggets is probably one of the most meaningful championship victories in recent history. This franchise won its first title without any home run plays in the free agency market or big-name trades.
It's Murray coming and jamming it in!
Basically, the Nuggets built from the draft and relied on the growths of their two stars, Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray. Jokic, the MVP in 2021, 2022, and 2024, was unstoppable during that championship run in 2023. He went up against the best in the West and proved to everyone why he is the best player in the world. Murray wasn't so bad himself. He averaged 26.1 points during the championship run while hitting clutch shots and giving the Nuggets a true secondary go-to player. Basically, they were kind of like a discount version of Shaq and Kobe, and the other Nuggets starters and role players stepped up, hit big shots, and played terrific defense. But ever since winning that title, the Nuggets haven't been doing a lot to bolster their chances of winning another ring. They lost a lot of key pieces during the 2023 offseason, specifically Bruce Brown, who wasn't a big part of that championship run, but was their best player off the bench. Despite that, the Nuggets still fought admirably in the playoffs last season. Denver was the favorite to make it out of the West until they ran into a very good Minnesota Timberwolves team that had the right pieces to keep this team at bay.
Will defend. Caldwell Pope comes over. Shot clock 2, corner 3. Conley, good!
The Nuggets were about to win the second-round series in 7 games until their massive meltdown in the second half. But the popular belief was that this team could have gone back to the finals, and maybe even given the Boston Celtics a hard-fought battle had it defeated the Wolves in the second round. So, in short, no one counted the Nuggets out. The problem, however, is that this team hasn't done anything to put itself in another good position to return to the finals. During the 2024 offseason, Denver lost its best two-way perimeter player when Kentavious Caldwell-Pope went to the Orlando Magic. While the core starters of Jokic, Murray, Aaron Gordon, and Michael Porter Jr. are still there, you'd still have to wonder how good the bench would be, or if this team has that solid shooting guard who could provide the same floor spacing and defense that KCP gave them. If you look at the Nuggets' play a year ago, the most glaring stat is the lack of bench production. Bruce Brown and Jeff Green were key contributors off the bench during their championship run. But a season ago, they struggled to find key contributors in the second unit, and that's what made it difficult for the team to overcome the Minnesota Timberwolves in the second round. More importantly, they lost some of their best bench contributors, namely Reggie Jackson and Justin Holiday. Still, the Nuggets believe that this team has what it takes to get to the promised land once more.
Collected by Adebayo, stolen by Murray. One man to beat. Murray goes up, throws it down, and the foul!
Just recently, the team inked Jamal Murray on a massive 4-year contract that could give him more than $50 million a year. With that extension, Denver has both Jokic and Murray locked into contracts until the end of the 2027-28 season. Meanwhile, Aaron Gordon has a player option and could very well choose to exercise that option or head into free agency in 2025. But it's likely that he's going to stay with the Nuggets because he has the easiest job of playing off of Jokic. Then there's MPJ, who's under contract until 2027 on his 5-year, $179 million deal. So while the team may have its core players locked up into long-term contracts, the front office doesn't have any money to spend on big-name signings. That's why they let KCP go during the offseason, as the Magic offered him a 3-year, $66 million deal, something that the Nuggets couldn't match. And some of the other affordable veterans were much more willing to sign with other contenders. Despite that, the Nuggets did indeed land Russell Westbrook, who got traded and waived in a matter of days during the 2024 offseason. In fact, the often silent Nikola Jokic was rumored to have been the one who asked the Nuggets front office to sign Brody the moment he became a free agent. This is unheard of, because we know that the Joker would rather just stay outside of the front office's business. So the fact that he asked the team to sign Westbrook was an indication of how he realized that the Nuggets needed to make some serious moves. While Westbrook's addition to the team isn't the most groundbreaking move Denver could make, it makes the bench better. When you look at the team's second unit, it's composed of Dario Saric, Julian Strawther, and Peyton Watson. The other guys on the bench are either rookies or no-name players who have never had to play significant minutes in the NBA. That's where Russ becomes an important factor in this team's second unit. He's no longer going to be putting up MVP numbers or triple-doubles. He's still one of the most capable backup point guards in the league because he's known for his ability to compete and go hard every play. He can also play good defense if he wants to. But he's not a good shooter, and shooting is something that this team desperately needs. One of the biggest reasons why the Nuggets were so dangerous during their championship run was their three-point shooting. If you have Murray, KCP, and MPJ surrounding Nikola Jokic, you will hesitate to double the Joker because he can find any shooter out on the perimeter. However, with the departures of KCP, Holiday, and even Reggie Jackson, this team doesn't have the same outside shooting it did during its championship run.
Is calling for that switch.
Christian Braun, set to replace KCP as a starter, hasn't proven himself a good three-point shooter. Watson, meanwhile, is more of a defender than an outside sniper. So if you look at the floor spacing situation on this team, it's going to be problematic, especially if the second unit doesn't have a lot of shooters. The Nuggets' backup point guard himself is already a shooting liability, and he's now going to be asked to lead a bench that doesn't have a ton of proven shooters. And when you put those guys on the floor together with Jokic, teams now have the incentive to double the big man in the paint, knowing that the other guys on the floor aren't going to be dangerous outside threats. This is where the narrative gets interesting. Even though the Nuggets do have their core players intact, their lack of role players is going to be one of the biggest problems this team will face in the long run and as the 2024-25 season progresses. If the team doesn't have the same shooters that helped space the floor for the core players during the 2023 championship run, life is going to be more difficult for the duo of Jokic and Murray. Even Shaq and Kobe had a lot of shooters spreading the floor when they were winning 3 titles more than 20 years ago. On the other hand, a lot of teams in the West have just gotten better. The Dallas Mavericks, the defending Western Conference champions, just got one of the greatest shooters in league history, although Klay Thompson is unlikely to put up stellar numbers again. The Minnesota Timberwolves, meanwhile, are just going to get better, especially with Anthony Edwards' continuing growth. Then we have the OKC Thunder, who were already dangerous enough a season ago, but are just going to get better with age and experience. It goes without saying that the Western Conference playground is becoming more difficult every season, especially with younger teams steadily climbing the ladder. We're not even getting into the East yet. The Boston Celtics kept their core intact and are set to head into the new season as the championship favorites. But no one is counting out the Miami Heat, Milwaukee Bucks, and New York Knicks.
Jokic has it. Gives to Murray. Jokic on the run. And he puts it.
Now, even though the duo of Jokic and Murray is a proving winning combination, especially when they have Gordon and MPJ surrounding them, you can't help but wonder if this will be enough to help the Nuggets compete for a title once more, especially if the front office didn't do a lot of moves to bolster the bench or even provide the spacing that the stars need to operate with more freedom. Yet, we've seen stellar duos winning multiple titles in the past. But while Jokic is at the level of an all-time great, we can't say the same about Murray, who doesn't always show up when he's needed. This duo isn't the same as Shaq and Kobe or LeBron and Wade, even though Jokic is already a legend on his own. So you can't expect the Joker and Murray to carry the team to another championship when one of the players in that duo hasn't even been named into the All-Star team or All-NBA team his entire career.
Murray looking to push. This is what they want to do. Boy, exquisite.
This isn't a knock on Murray at all, because we've seen what he could do when he's completely healthy and focused. Instead, it's more of a knock on the Denver front office because the Nuggets haven't done enough to ensure that this team has a chance to compete for another title. So, can the Denver Nuggets win it all next season? Well, they have a chance, but we're not saying that their chances are high or that they're favorites to win it all. They're not even the favorites to exit the West, but they're still right there in the race. The only question is whether or not the front office is willing to make some offseason moves in the next few months to turn this team into a serious title contender.